everybody. Okay, I'm about to read to you chapter 1 of The Magic Place by Chris Wormel. Once you've listened to the chapter, you can then have a go at answering the comprehension questions which I've set for you. If you're in my class, in OSA class, I've given you these comprehension questions in your third home learning pack. However, if you're not in my class and would like to have a go, I've posted the link just below where you can download the questions for free from my TES shop. Okay, enjoy! The Magic Place by Chris Wormel. Chapter 1. Pepper. In the middle of a great black city of smoke and soot and grime, there once lived a girl called Clementine. Here is a picture of the great black city, and down there under that bridge, at the far end of that dark, narrow street, is the house where Clementine lives. Do you see it? Clementine was an orphan, and she lived in that tall, narrow house with her aunt and Uncle Grimble, and a large white cat called Gilbert. He was a rather special cat. In fact, he was an extraordinary cat, as we shall discover. And if you look again at the first picture, you might spot him down under the bridge as he walks along the road to that house down at the end. Let's follow him. Outside the house he is stopped, and he peers into a dirty little window at the bottom of the wall, just above the pavement. What does he see? He sees Clementine sitting on the edge of her bed, for the dark and dingy cellar beyond that window is actually her bedroom. She has scruffy short hair and wears a raggedy dress and shoes that are pretty much worn out. And now she jumps up. She can hear the heavy clump of her aunt's footsteps descending the cellar stairs, and then the jingle of a large bunch of keys, as if a jailer was lifting them from a belt. A jailer is kind of an old-fashioned way of saying a person in charge of a jail. A key is slotted into the lock. The door handle begins to turn. Clementine bites her lip. She lives in mortal fear of her terrible aunt. Aunt Vermilia always wore black, and because of her poor eyesight, she wore spectacles with such thick lenses her eyes looked enormous and appeared to jump out of her head. Clementine thought she looked like a large, fat beetle. Her Uncle Rufus had a very large mouth and lots of teeth, and Clementine thought he looked rather like a crocodile. Would you like an aunt and uncle like these two? No, neither would I. And though looks can sometimes be deceptive, in this case they are not. These two were fiends. They were about as wicked and cruel as you could get. Uncle Rufus would sometimes beat Clementine with his heavy walking stick, while Aunt Vermilia often caught her by the ears and shook her head so violently it was a wonder her ears didn't come off. They were certainly stretched. At least they looked stretched. Anyway, stretched or not, it was a horrible thing to do. Grabbing someone by the ear was about the meanest, cruelest thing Aunt Vermilia could think of doing to anyone, which just shows you what sort of person she was. And Clementine certainly didn't deserve it. She was not a naughty child. Not really. No more naughty than any child ought to be. Though she did once accidentally sprinkle a little pepper on their porridge. Quite a lot of pepper, actually, but my goodness, they deserved it. She was punished, of course. But then, Clementine was always punished, whether she did anything bad or not. The slightest mistake would provoke an alarming outburst, like accidentally dropping a single pea. And since it was she who did all the chores around the house, the cooking, the cleaning, and all the washing up, she was bound to make the odd mistake. She was even punished for things that were not her fault. If anything went missing in that house, or was broken, or cracked, or split, or torn, or spoilt, it was always blamed on Clementine, though it was very rarely her fault, and she was always punished. Is it any wonder that she bit her lip in trepidation at the sound of her aunt's footsteps descending the cellar stairs? And is it any wonder that she was sometimes driven to play little tricks on her wicked aunt and uncle? If she was going to be punished anyway, she thought she may as well do something worth being punished for, and jolly good luck to her, I say. I wonder why Clementine's aunt and uncle were so nasty. Perhaps they had a horrible time when they were young. Little monster, her Aunt Vermilia would scream, or ogre, or vile little beast. And her Uncle Rufus would growl, devil, demon, and rogue. all words that suited them far more than they suited Clementine. They hardly ever called her by her name, and when they did, they never called her Clementine. Do you know what they called her? They called her Oya, which wasn't really a name at all, but came from them shouting, "Oi, you!" whenever they wanted her. I suspect they didn't even know her real name was Clementine, which was odd. But then neither did Clementine, which was odder.